Today, we continue and finish our 2026 NFL mock draft with 3 rounds. This is day number 2, so we get rounds 2 and 3. Of course, we're going to recap round 1, but if you guys want to actually experience it live, you guys get to go over and watch that one. Appreciate it. As always, below my face is my board. There is over 300 players on this list, and if you guys want to see all of them along with every single player broken down into every single grading category, I have it over on my Patreon. It's just $5 a month, so feel free to go over there. And also, all the videos that you love, the positional rankings on the show, I have extended versions over there just for you. And on top of that, we have exclusive interviews of guys who are also in the NFL that never made it to the show that are going to be going up there very soon. So go check it out. But first, a word from our sponsor. Hi, y'all. I have once again teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook to bring you guys an incredible offer. New customers can bet $5 to get $300 instantly in bonus bets. And on top of that, $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube or YouTube TV. When signing up, make sure to use the code HMS. Do you love the thrill of live betting? Then DraftKings has you covered. Bet on live in-progress games as they happen. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for an even bigger payout. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, do not worry. You can still join in on the fun using a DraftKings daily fantasy option. I myself am in Texas, so that is something that I will be continuing to use. So this is going to be what it looks like. And what's awesome here is that you guys get to see a plethora of sports. This show focuses on football, but if you guys have a passion for anything else, you also get to partake. Sign up using the URL or using the promo code HMS. And a huge thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring this episode. And now we are back, and let's go check out the first round. We can allow y'all to use your peepers to see the exact picks. I'm going to display or explain the trades. So we did have a good little run of quarterbacks at the start, and we had a trade up. Indianapolis felt maybe a little threatened by the Raiders here, which in my opinion, the Raiders actually, and this is made right after, maybe not right after, a little bit after the games today on Sunday. Like, I ended up really loving the Raiders offense compared to what I think whatever PFF was doing here was kind of suggesting. And, you know, with them being at number 7, I thought there must have been some sort of inadequacy on offense. I thought maybe there's a probability we could talk about a quarterback there with Fernando Mendoza. So I had a trade up here with the Indianapolis Colts, and they ended up just sending a number 3 this year as well as a future 2 to the Carolina Panthers, who ended up getting Kenyon Sadiq via that trade down. Now, I do think someone brought up a really good option outside of Kenyon Sadiq. Kenyon should be this pick, in my opinion, but there's someone who I have even higher that I think is also a very good fit here, and that's Dylan Thieneman, safety out of Oregon. So either way, should have ended up going after an Oregon player. But regardless, really do like how that ended up working out for both teams, because personally, Kenyon Sadiq was someone who I continued putting in these mock drafts for Carolina, and I wanted to do something new. So it was a good idea to just, get some extra draft capital, also help out my Panthers fans on day 2, get you guys a little extra content. But we ended up having a good stretch here where it was just the right pick for the right team. Isaiah World kind of struggled this past week comparatively to where I wanted him to be. I know I think he allowed only 1 pressure this past week, but I honestly didn't see the proficiency that I was kind of hoping for this early on at Oregon, but I still think he did a pretty damn solid job. I mean, they kicked Oklahoma State's ass. So just wanted to mention that, even though it's not part of these trades. Another week of Mansour Delane. I just got to puff my chest out wherever and whenever possible. Another week with him having very little yards allowed and a pass breakup. This was made before the Oklahoma and Michigan game. John Mateer is absolutely fucking ludicrous. I mean, he has the best plays and the worst plays I've ever seen from a quarterback. It sounds perfect for the Steelers to try to just see if they can make him into Aaron Rodgers with the high-level throws, but I mean, the running ability of John Mateer is fantastic. I mean, he's going to be someone who's super excited, who's going to be super exciting to watch at the next level. But we did have a small trade up here. I did think that with the potential threat of offensive tackle being a position for the Dolphins, who are absolutely garbo, which is why whenever I made my own draft order, I always put them, I think, in the top 10, if not the top 5. I put them at 1, if I'm not mistaken, one of these times. But I definitely felt like there's a lot of areas for the Dolphins to be taken advantage of. and one of those would have ended up being on the offensive line. So I did want to end up going after Caleb Lamu and fix the right tackle spot, even though Lamu's a left. I thought he was by far the best lineman available. And for the cost of a fourth, I honestly thought it was perfectly fine. So we ended up moving up here with the Cardinals to select my favorite offensive lineman that was available that I felt comfortable with on both sides. But again, via that trade down, we ended up getting Avian Terrell. And yes, we ended up losing my number 2 corner and ended up getting our number 3. But I do think Avian Terrell just fits schematically better with what the Vikings have shown they've wanted to get. So another good stretch of players. Again, we'll review these as we pick for each team. But Cade Klubnik did fall, kind of a storyline of this all. But I mean, there just wasn't, like, we kind of just soaked up all the teams, or that was a weird way of explaining it. But we ended up eliminating the teams that needed quarterback early on in this draft, to where there wasn't very many teams that were really trying to make a push for a Cade Klubnik. And, especially with him not necessarily being the most proficient against Troy, even though Troy got up really early, like, still the numbers were actually pretty good for Cade Klubnik this past week. I'm not going to give him, spoiler alert for tomorrow, I'm not going to give him any sort of love on the stock report, but at least it was good to see that he wasn't cheeks in that Troy game. But regardless, the Rams ended up getting their guy here, staying, not moving around, and ending up getting 2 really good players. And then our last pick, we ended up having Francis Mauigoa being selected by the Browns. Just a quick little pick swap here at 32 to 33 to get the 5th-year contract as they tried to find and develop their future quarterback. At number 33, though, let's get this off with the Bills. And honestly, I don't want to make this in a super long process. Arch Manning considered not in this. So we're going to be considering him for 2027. This is for 2026. The Bills, I want to get them some extra juice in that receiving core. Like, for me, I want some extra deep threat ability. Carnell Tate's done a phenomenal job expanding his skill set over the past year, and over the past offseason especially. He has really developed overall. And I think he could provide a new level of skill to this offense that they don't really have. With Denzel Boston, Denzel's fantastic, but to me, I think his skill set is a little too close to what you have right now with Coleman. So wouldn't really recommend that. Mekhi Lemon, I worry about his ability to play on the boundary. Even though I believe it says he's like finally it got down to 5'11". Okay, for some reason I thought it was 6 foot during part of the year. Yeah, Mekhi just doesn't feel like a boundary receiver to me, and I think there's just gonna be a little too much overlap there with Khalil Shakir in terms of the role that they're supposed to play. Love Mekhi Lemon, my wide receiver 3, but Carnell Tate really does feel like he's pushing the deep threat ability better than anyone else. Also, it's been proven to play in the cold, Ohio State. Gritty team, and obviously not a very fun environment during the winter. Neither is Buffalo. Spoiler alert. So I actually think Carnell Tate's a really good option here. Could have taken him at 32, end up getting that 5th-year contract, but I mean, wide receivers are so expensive nowadays anyways. Maybe that is a reason why we should have sticked and picked. Either way, not going to affect the mock draft. If you really don't like the trade down out of the first round, keep it as is and then flop the picks. I mean, again, this is a mock draft. We'll be doing another one this week as well, but regardless, we're happy to be here. Number 34 for the New Orleans Saints. Ended up in the first round going after Garrett Nussmeier. Do I think that Garrett has fully made it worth or made it logical to go after him at number 2? No. But how he performs under pressure is something that I really like to see him grow and develop into. He's done a good job at that. And, the rest I think can come along as time progresses. But here at number 34, there's a lot of good weaponry here that I think we can't really miss out on. Denzel Boston has just really thrived. I believe he had a punt return touchdown very recently. I know he had a really good punt return in general, but Denzel is a player who I didn't fully believe in terms of the ability to maintain and pick up speed. And I thought he could end up picking it up over distance, but he's just very fluid at a top end speed. I never thought returning ability would work for him. But for the Saints, I really want a true high end X. And especially with so many people trying to see if Chris Olave is available. I just really like what Denzel Boston could bring to the squad. And very similar to what we're seeing, hopefully Nick Anderson continues to grow and flourish into a player that he should be. Again, I mean, I'm not very high on Nick Anderson, but, I want Denzel Boston to be what people thought Nick Anderson should have been for LSU this year. So we're going to go after Denzel Boston there at 34, wide receiver out of Washington. Number 35 for the New York Giants, first round pick, Spencer Fano. Here in round number 2, I honestly might go after another weapon here. Mekhi Lemon's not a bad idea. again, you can't pay every wide receiver you have. And, for the long term vision, I don't know if Wan'Dale Robinson should be the guy who's a guarantee on this team. And Mekhi Lemon, he still can play on the boundary. So I like the ability to, utilize him in a multitude of options. But I mean, quarterback, you guys should be fulfilled. I think that's where my head's at, especially with the strength of schedule. Running back wise, I just don't think there's going to be anything there that you guys don't already have kind of locked down. Cornerback definitely is an area where I would love to try to potentially go after someone like Domani Jackson, but honestly, there's some good cornerback talent down the line. So I really do want to go after best player available. Kind of what I did in the first round, Spencer Fano. Based on my board, I'm gonna discount Malachi Lawrence just because I don't really think that he's gonna go in this range. But I'm gonna go after the next player who I think would make sense for this team, which is Mekhi Lemon. So we're gonna go after Mekhi Lemon, weapon out of USC, one of the best route runners in the entire country, really good after the catch as well. Just a damn good receiver. Like all around, he is a really, really reliable receiver and a much bigger upgrade over Wan'Dale. At number 36 for the New York Jets, put on a show today against my Steelers. I love to see Justin Fields actually in a rhythm. We did end up going and selecting Drew Aller, which, some tears of pain watching him end up going. And maybe this week we'll see maybe if we can go maybe either via trade down or by being able to just select Caleb Downs there, going Caleb Downs and then a quarterback in the late first, trying to do exactly what the Giants did this past year, which is best player available and go after a solid quarterback there at the end of the first. Might be a fun idea. Jets fans, let me know what you think. But, you guys are continuing to grow and develop as a team. I love where you guys are at, actually. I mean, like, receiving core wise, I still think we can end up upgrading here. And this is just a great range with a lot of very reliable receivers to where I honestly am looking at someone like Jeremy Bernard. And Jeremy Bernard, somebody who's been so reliable for Alabama. I mean, ridiculously reliable. Even versus Florida State, he got 146 in a game that was not pretty for him. One of the most reliable weapons in the entire country. The dream wide receiver 3 to have. Garrett Wilson, I love seeing that connection. Like for me, I feel like that's the area where we can end up getting the best value. Offensive line, I feel very comfortable. Running back looks finally kind of healthy and good. Knock on wood, it stays that way. The edge core, even, you guys have done a pretty good job feasting against some bums, but that's okay. I mean, I got to admit it. I can't stand Broderick Jones as a Steelers fan. Linebacker wise, I honestly don't mind taking some like shots on dudes, but not this high. I like your linebacker core overall. I really do think the wide receiver market is where we want to take advantage of. And we're looking at Antonio Williams here, Jeremy Bernard. Those are the big ones. I know I have Noah Thomas pretty high, but right now I'm waiting to see how his performances start stacking up against legitimately competitive teams to where I just don't really think that he's someone who I should be considering this range. Chase Roberts, someone who I think I'll be dropping a little bit more for age, but someone who I still really, really like. I mean, even though, he didn't necessarily do anything versus Portland State. He was probably in there for like 2 drives. I mean, let's just be real. They ended up dominating that game. But yeah, I feel very comfortable right at the moment looking at what we can end up going and targeting and going after the best receiver available. And some people believe that's Antonio Williams. And honestly, I feel like Antonio Williams fits a little bit more with what Justin Fields should be wanting to do, a little bit more deep threat ability. We'll go with that. But again, another player to end up talking about. We have a 4 wide receiver stretch. It's a good, we've seen improvement to the point where it's a good receiver class. I'm very happy with that, which is also why for the Titans, it kind of sucks because I want to go wide receiver. That sucks. Wow. Okay. Well, I just shot myself in the foot. Proof that I don't do things on purpose. This is all live mock draft. But I think edge is where we should go next. Let's not reach on a wide receiver. And Mateo Ugule doing a pretty solid job this year. I'm not necessarily sold on him. You guys know that. Feel free to go watch my edge videos, see what I think. Cassius Howell had 3 sacks this past week on back-to-back-to-back reps. However, he didn't get a single pressure for the rest of the game. So I am a little bit confused about that, personally. Max Llewellyn hasn't been performing at the rate that I expected him to, but definitely someone we'll be taking here probably in the second because someone who I have a lot of respect for, a lot of love for. Seeing if there's anybody else worth talking about that's at least in here. Trey White, like him a lot as well. We will have to use a placeholder for my king sitting up here at number 5, Malachi Lawrence. But for the Titans, they definitely value some nice balance there. And Denny Dennis Sutton has done a really solid job. I mean, Now he didn't go up against FIU in the way that he dominated Nevada, but I just think that it's too down the board for us not to take a high end player here and to need Dennis Sutton. We do still have trades, but I just feel like the value is really lined up. Panthers went Kenyon Sadiq there in the first. Let's look at the defensive backs really quick. And Zakee Wheatley is definitely somebody who's caught my eye. A very good safety, maybe someone who I want to move up. Bud Clark, very good safety. Honestly, I feel very comfortable in the third round going after some safety talent. I know that's a position where we want to target for him, but I'm just going to be honest. I want to go best player available in these ranges. We'll see about it, but I mean, I'm looking at someone like Zane Durant. I know that we end up getting Tershawn Wharton, but you can never go wrong with going after that route. I mean, technically, you could try to continue upgrading the weaponry. I'm not going to. Boundary corner, though, DJ McKinney, definitely somebody you need to keep your eye on. I mean, only allowed 55 yards so far, under a 38 passer rating, which means if they threw it in the dirt every time, it would end up being a higher passer rating than when he is targeted. Good run defense, great as well. Just a very balanced cornerback. But Davidson Igbinosun's the guy who I have a lot of love for, a lot of faith in. I don't feel like his style really reflects what I loved about JC Horn, who was a little bit more technically sound and not necessarily as physical. So if I'm going to go after someone who's a little bit more on the technical side, I think I will go after DJ McKinney here out of Colorado. So we're going to go after him. And think about this. Kenyon Sadiq, I mean, I wish it were Caleb Downs. And then DJ McKinney, two really good athletes, both with a ton of skill. And both very balanced players as well. And number 39 for the Las Vegas Raiders, end up going after Peter Woods in the first. I feel comfortable trying to move down if we see an opportunity, like a player that like really needs to be moved up for. Like we could just go balls to the wall and get big Dom Orange at this point. But we could talk about Proctor. Proctor is definitely somebody who I've moved down my board. But Dom Orange is the one that sticks out as somebody who I think should be getting a little bit more love, especially on the inside. Not many true nose tackles that are super reliable. I love CJ Brevard, or I think his name's CJ Brevard, but defensive interior out of Texas. Do they have him on this? I mean, I don't understand like how we can have all of these guys, but we don't have guys like literally the number one nose for Texas and at Tennessee. Love Easton there. Surprised we have some of these guys on here, but not them. But regardless, for the Raiders, we're not obviously looking at defensive interior anymore. I will say cornerback's a big issue as well. AJ Harris, super reliable, very well balanced. My big issue with AJ Harris is that he whiffs. And when he whiffs, it's bad. So you just have to have a defense that can end up holding up. And, with the interior pressure that I think Woods can end up providing, I am going to go after AJ Harris here. So again, we went on a wide receiver run, and now we're starting to go on a corner run. That stops with the Bears, who drafted TJ Parker there in the first round. I feel comfortable trying to move out of this spot if we can, because the next move I'm going to make is a running back, and the running backs are just not necessarily good at this point. I hate to say it. I love Damon Claiborne. I think that he will be worth it. The problem is, I mean, damn, what the fuck? He has 13 attempts for 212 yards. What? I know he's playing up against scrubs, but my number one king in the class, what? 4 yards of 15 or more. Holy Toledo. Hello. Maybe we need to take him right now. Are there any other teams that are looking at running back? Honestly, the Jaguars could. Well, they got Bishal Tootin. Cowboys. Cowboys are a little too close. I think I would go Damon Claiborne for them. So we're going to go Damon Claiborne here for the Chicago Bears. We're going to stick and pick. I mean, damn. So for inside information, for the stock report, I end up, because you can go through every single game. I think that's a waste of time for the most part, because if good teams play crappy teams, I don't think those stats are really translatable. Now, again, it's really good to see that you can do it, which is what Damon Claiborne is doing. But at the same time, he has 3 touchdowns as well. Holy Toledo. But I focus on the games that are translatable, right? Games that like you'll see. What am I trying to think of right now? North Carolina State, Virginia, right? Like, I think that game you can end up seeing, like, it matters to me how you perform. I genuinely, unless you really suck, which I know that you guys would end up saying, like, dude, like, Damon Claiborne sucked this past week, versus WCU. Then I'll go back and look at it. But for me, I mean, again, I'm a one-man show. I really want to focus on stuff that will actually pertain to changing my opinion. And, you know, definitely it's good to see that Damon will do that. But we, of course, need to see he's not going to get 16 yards per carry versus, FBS competition. So still good to see it, though. Love Damon Claiborne. And for the Bears, I mean, getting a home run threat like that is your Jahmyr Gibbs. This dude is an absolute lightning ball. And he's at number 21 on my board currently. And then again, yes, this is still 2024, so keep that in mind. But not every single one of these players will end up being regraded the moment that they play a snap because A, we don't got PFF Ultimate. Not going to use that as an excuse, but B, and most importantly, I want to see how they perform in their midseason form. And, NFL off seasons are a lot more rigorous, a lot more learning, and I really want to see how they perform at their best and at their worst. And so you need a little bit bigger sample size before really grading guys. But I digress. Indianapolis Colts moved up for Fernando Mendoza, do not have a third round pick at the moment. Right now, honestly, I want to just get some beef on the interior. I mean, going best player available is never the bad idea. Fernando Mendoza looks really damn good. Big Dom Orange is someone who I have a lot of love for. I don't know what the hell they were doing this past week versus Iowa. They're just using him a little too all over the place. Now, it ended up being fine, but I do think he's going to be much better in the NFL when they're utilizing him properly. Big Dom Orange is just an absolute headache. So big fan of his game. We are going to continue here with number 42 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. In the first round, we did not take anything because they traded it for Travis Hunter, who looks really, really good, as we should have expected from a number 2 overall pick. But we'll see how the running back position looks. I do think that's an area, if we don't see Tootin really take a step up, LaQuint Allen take a step up, which I love. I mean, I ended up being a bit skeptical about Tootin. Very, very in favor of Allen. So I think that we could end up looking at the interior of the offensive line at this point with Connor Lew still on the board. I think that's just the right value. If you play him at center, guard, I don't care. I think they're just damn good players. At 43 for the Atlanta Falcons, we're looking at, again, sent to the Rams. So I'm so used to looking at the your pick side. But the Falcons, I mean, you could try to develop Proctor at this point. Could try to trade out as well. Again, this is with trades, but I just like a lot of these players here in round 2. It just feels good to go after good players. Like, linebacker's not a bad idea. You guys ended up doing a very good job until, Koo ended up missing the last second field goal. Sucks to see that happen. I do think Connor Lew would have been a great choice for y'all. Parker Brailsford, I don't understand why there's any sort of confusion on this guy. This dude's phenomenal. I actually might rock it for the Falcons. I mean, this dude is pretty much a wrestling champion. This guy is just so good. I am a huge fan of his game. We're going to go with it because I don't think there's that many good centers in the class. I think it's more than most classes in terms of the top end type of talent. But Parker Brailsford, Connor Lew, amazing players. I do still have Lyndon Cooper here at 13, which this doesn't have. But I do think the previous two are kind of viewed as consensus guys at the top. At 44 for the Cowboys, first round, LT Overton, Caleb Banks. Of course, this is going to be on the offensive side. And the running back position, Jonah Coleman looking very, very nice. Week 1 ended up getting 177 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Big supporter of that. One of my biggest concerns last year is that he just did not look healthy. He did not look like he was at his max explosiveness, and now he does. I'm very happy for that. My thing is with Coleman and Singleton, we're seeing right now for probably a fraction of the cost, especially when you factor in a second round pick, that Javonte Williams is looking like he's reinvigorated himself to a point where he's kind of comfortable. And I like that a lot. Now, I honestly would probably try to wait. Jaheim White in round 4, and yes, another 5'7" back. I mean, I love seeing Deuce Vaughn and his 5'2" self out there on the field. It's very fun to see because I get to watch the preseason games in person. Get to watch the Chargers this year too in person. I'm so excited to see that. That's going to be an actual season game. So really stoked for that. But I would say I just feel very comfortable waiting on running back just because I don't really think the class is all that good. But if we have to, it would be Nick Singleton or it would be Jonah Coleman. Wide receiver, I think, is just very underrated as a position to target right now. I mean, Jalen Tolbert is not necessarily a good wide receiver 3. Yes, you have like someone who you should be trying to utilize more in George Pickens. I'm saying that because he's in my fantasy team. But George Pickens also, contract. You can't rely on him to be there for the long run. I'm going to go after old, reliable Jeremy Bernard here out of Alabama. Again, showed him earlier. Don't know why PFF hasn't imported week 2 grades like for all these teams. A little bit weird, or all these players. But Jeremy Bernard is just a rock solid player. Could have went after Caden Proctor to try to fix up the offensive tackle spot, but I mean, I do think that there's a certain point where I don't feel comfortable with it. New England Patriots took Jordan Tyson in round 1. Shout out to that Mississippi State corner. Forgetting his last name off the top of my head, but dude ended up saying like Jordan Tyson who. That was very funny. Obviously, he ended up locking up Jordan Tyson, but it's hard to do. I mean, to be fair, Sam Levitt, I think, is one of the main reasons why that happened. Just got to throw that out there. But, tight end wise, they definitely could try to go after one of these players. Jack Endries looks really solid. Something that I was thinking of earlier today while I was watching the Patriots play, Jack Endries kind of reminds me of Hunter Henry. And I mean, I know that I have quite a few Texas fans in the comments. Let me know if you think the same. Like, I know Tyler, he definitely is one of my main guys for Texas. Let me know if you consider that the case, because I don't know, something about the way that Arch and Jack kind of played together felt very similar to how Drake May played with Hunter Henry. So part of me wants to go that way. I don't think I can do that twice in a row. I will be opting for the edge route, and there's so many good players here. I do think we're going to take Cassius Howell because a lot of the community thinks of him in a higher level than maybe I do. Still a very, very good player, right? I mean, to be fair, we haven't seen him versus anybody who's necessarily translatable to the NFL, but I really do like Cassius Howell. And, you look at the build right here, 6'2", 250. I mean, you're lower, so you're built a little bit more sturdy than someone who's maybe 6'5", 248. But really good athlete, definitely somebody who will show a multitude of moves. And, I like that flexibility. Definitely a position where I think the Patriots will continue to invest. Seahawks took corner Mansour Delane in the first. I do think that, like, right now, what we could do is try to look at maybe some interior offensive line upgrades, but I saw my boy Zach Charbonnet get a touchdown earlier today. I'm really happy about that. I think 2 areas of improvement. We can go for weaponry in terms of speed at the receiver position. I'm honestly mad about Eric Singleton not being used enough as the deep threat that he should be. Eric Rivers kind of feels like a gadget. Zachariah Branch is the guy who I think would be really, really fun. He's just reverted to his year before last. What was that, 2023? There we go. 2023 form. Really like to see him back at that USC form. It does make me happy to see that. But edge is definitely a position I think they should continue trying to invest in. R. Mason Thomas is very fun player. But we could definitely take a look at a couple of the other guys. Joshua Josephs has like 35-inch arms, and he is electric off the edge. I mean, one of these players who consistently dominates and dominates with power as well as speed. And he's only in the 240 range, but this dude will have the measurables and the testing that will make teams be like, And I just love that. You're getting literally just a cheaper version without the potential like personality concerns that we saw last year out of Tennessee. So I'm going to go after Joshua Josephs here at number 46. Number 47 for the Pittsburgh Steelers took John Mateer there in round number 1. Caden Proctor's intriguing. Again, I think he's just so underdeveloped that it just scares the shit out of me. And to be honest, that's not a bad spot for the Steelers to go. Caden Green showed some massive progress with a 90 pass blocking grade this past week. He looked really rough in week 1. Tomas Remak, I don't know why they're having this poor brother playing like right tackle. I don't get it, but this past week looked pretty damn solid. Really happy seeing him continue to grow and develop into the player that he should be. Any other names? Alex Harkey, love him to death. Honestly, would love him on my Steelers. Like, really good player. Drew Shelton, definitely a name that a lot of people will try to throw out there. I don't think he really works. But I do think we're going to toss another project player in here. I don't know. I feel like the Steelers might tear it down if they don't make the playoffs. So we're going to go after Caden Proctor. And no, I'm not giving it to my team because, like, I'm trying to strategize. Caden Proctor is my tackle 9. He is just outside my top 100. I'm not giving any pity points to my Steelers. And then John Mateer is my QB 9. Like, love the upside, love the athletic ability for both these guys, but the floor is dirt low. And for the Steelers, I think while we're trying to play the long game, that's something that can end up really working out positively for us, which is something we just don't do, but hopefully we just get our head screwed on right. Minnesota ended up trading back, getting Avian Terrell in round number 1. I do think safety is another position with Zaki Wheatley, something that I really want to see. Now, he is so flexible that I just love that. This guy's just a really good player. Shout out to Broshmo for talking about him. He was the one who like put his name on the line for Zaki more than I did off the bat. So, I mean, shout out to him for that. We're going to go after Zaki Wheatley here. We're going to retool that secondary. I mean, I feel very comfortable doing that and taking a defensive interior there in the 3rd round. I like that. We're going to go after Zaki Wheatley here. Number 49 for the Miami Dolphins. Actually did not get traded. We got jumped on the offensive line side with Keith Abney, who is my number 19 player in the entire class. One of the best corners in the entire country. Number 49, though. I think we need to start looking because this team needs to get a future for Tyreek Hill, like future ahead. I'm actually going to look at Zachariah Branch here. Like, just someone who really showed up. I mean, I don't know what the hell happened with Austin P. Like, they didn't even score 30 versus Austin P this past week. But, in my realm, I really value the Marshall game a little bit more. I give hiccups for maybe them trying to do like test some things out, research and development versus these weaker teams. But Zachariah Branch looks damn dynamic and somebody who I think will end up adding a very crucial element for the long haul for the Dolphins. 5'10", 180. Just somebody who really does deserve a good shot in the NFL based on the fact that it looks like 2024 might have been a fluke, maybe some health issues. He just looks a lot healthier and a lot more dynamic this year than he did last year. And I'm going to bet on the guy being healthy more than, just trusting. I want to trust my eyes. And right now he looks damn good. 50, Arizona Cardinals, team 2 jump. The aforementioned team here in the Dolphins, but got our tackle round number 1. Really happy with that. Wide receiver 3, definitely a position where if we saw Zachariah Branch, would have been down. Would have been really down. I do think that someone like Casey Concepcion is right on target with what the Cardinals like to do. Really good after the catch. So far, no drops this year, which is amazing because he had some big drop issues last year. So we're seeing that maybe there's a little bit of inconsistency there. I'm a fan of that because first off, who likes to see guys continue to have drop issues? But second and most importantly, Concepcion has been dynamic as a returner as well. And I just know that he complements the receiving core extremely well. And I'm still waiting for a couple more games of Concepcion. Again, not playing really top end talent, but I like what I've seen so far. I really do. And I think there's going to be a lot of value with that and not that many receivers that can fill the role as well as Concepcion could for the Cardinals. So we're going to go after 2 top end players here with Concepcion as well as Lamu. 51 for the Broncos. Got Christian Miller in round 1. Very happy with that. We could just go Singleton here and just continue going the best player on the board, essentially. But, my best player available outside of Malachi Lawrence, because he's just a big my guy, is Tomas Remak, which definitely a realm that we could talk about him. But Remak, Cooper, as well as Lawrence are all dudes who I am very much more so I'm a fan of them. Looking at other players, again, Chase Roberts is a guy who I'm a fan of. Kobe Baines, not going to be applicable to this team. Preston Hodge, don't need a defensive back. So Lee Hunter already took defensive interior. Davis Igbenogson, I don't think you guys need a boundary corner. So we continue going down the list and we get to tight end here with Miles Kitselman and also wide receiver with CJ Daniels. Those are 2 players I have a lot of love for. Kitselman, we'll see if PFF loaded his stats for this past week because I can't pull it out of my ass. They did. And, he ended up getting, I think, 36 yards this past week. I think he got 1 reception for 10 yards and a touchdown versus Syracuse. To me, that's pretty solid. I mean, they're not going to use tight end too much at Tennessee, which means that I probably shouldn't take him here until 83. But another weapon that I really, really like for the Broncos because they got rid of Vele. Is Miami wide receiver CJ Daniels, which how the hell do you not have him on here? What the actual fuck? That's crazy. All right. Well, that sucks. All right. You know what? I'm gonna give some love to my boy Vinny Anthony here. Really like his game, but he's gonna be a placeholder. Again, how? CJ Daniels, wide receiver of Miami, one of the most balanced wide receivers in the country. At number 52 for the Houston Texans, went after Jeremiah Love in round one. Could have went after Nick Singleton here in round two. Have we done any trades here in round two? No. We've just really liked the value, haven't we? I think a team needs to move up for Nick Singleton. Like it's Singleton and it's also Coleman here. And I feel very comfortable with my next pick at 54. Either selecting here, but like trading one of these picks and finding a team that will want to move up for one of these top end running backs. Like we also have Mateo Uiagalelei here, who a lot of people love. But honestly, if I'm the Texans, I don't think linebacker is a primary need in any way, shape, or form. Like to the point where you need to force it. But the value's just fallen in our lap for weeks that I don't know if Anthony Hill is here too. I'm just not the biggest Anthony Hill guy. To be fair though, Anthony Hill has a lot of potential. And I think we're going to go BPA because Texans love Texas players. But on top of that, you're talking about D'Amico Ryans, a former linebacker. We're going to go after Anthony Hill here at 52. At number 53 for the Chargers, first round, Keldrick Falk. It just feels like the go-to move. I do think wide receiver is going to need to be in the cards at the very minimum, but tight end as well. I'm going to put my foot down probably for Justin Jolly here, unless he's proven to not be very good, which so far, 11 targets, 9 receptions, 68 yards. A little bit underwhelming, if I'm just going to be completely honest, but up to 263. This guy was down at like 230 a couple years ago. Crazy to see him grow into the player that he has. Honestly, damn, I didn't realize that he was that non-productive, like that unproductive. So we're going to leave him be because honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed with how this has all turned out overall. Maybe we do need to make a move right now. Any team looking for a top end running back, apparently the fucking 49ers are drafting or like going after running back like it's nothing. We could talk about the Bengals trying to get a compliment there because I really love what we've seen so far from Chase Brown. I know it's only a week, but also the Chiefs, definitely something that if you want to get someone to pair up with Brashard Smith for the long haul, Nick Singleton, not a bad choice. The problem is I'm not finding enough reason to move. So is there a team that looks at an edge rusher right now and is like, yes, I also think it's the Chiefs, but that's in division. Not going to do that. Shoot. Honestly, the Bengals, but again, there's not another team that's really rivaling it. Except for, hold up. What did we do with the Lions in the first? Lions, we went after Sonny Styles. Honestly, not a bad option. Let's do that. I want to exercise it. Oh, they popped up right there. We're going to be making a trade here. And I do think, once again, this is going to be a little bit of a movement thing where we're trading up and back at the same time. Like, I think we'll go and toss in 168 and go 129 for this move and end up tossing in maybe 160 in return. Like, feel free to do like the pick selections as you please. Like, maybe we'll just do 61 and 129. I feel pretty confident with that. If you want to toss in a future 5, go for it. Again, not going to affect this mock draft, but the Chargers trade back. The Lions move up, selected Sonny Styles in the first. And again, you could have went with Weeks here if you end up going edge in the first. We did not, but we're still going to end up getting Mateo Uiagalelei, edge rusher out of Oregon. Again, a good player, but I do have my concerns with him, and then did have a little bit more of a down week, but people are saying he's a unanimous first-round pick. I was not in that mindset. Glad to not be, but it is what it is. So Texans sitting here at 54. Again, I wanted to try to make a move, and I'm trying to see if there's a good deep threat available. And the reason I'm saying that is because I know that the Ravens need to just get somebody to be an absolute dog downfield. I do think that we could try to talk about, like, there's just not very many very good deep threat receivers. Love Josh Cameron, by the way, not for that conversation, but just in general. Caleb Douglas as well, a very good wide receiver there for the Texas Tech Raiders. But honestly, we've taken a lot of the deep threats. I like Eric Singleton a lot too, but I would not trade up for him. Honestly, we're kind of screwed. We're screwed for the Texans, and we got to get through this a little bit quicker because personally, and I think you guys agree, we don't want to be here forever. Texans, I was trying to move out. We're going to go defensive interior here, though, and a lot of very good options. Like, you can't really go wrong with any of these guys. Daryl Jackson, a little bit more of the nose archetype. I'm not going to go after that necessarily. I'm going to go after someone who's a little bit undersized, but someone who I still think is going to be a game wrecker when he gets into midseason form, and that's Zane Durant. I mean, he might be he's down to 287. He's at 293 last year. Ooh, that actually changes my mind about him a lot. We're going to go after Lee Hunter, Texas Tech Raider. Talking about him. I mean, this is a guy right here. Look at that 18.2% pass rush win rate right there. Love that for him. We're going to go with him. He is 325 pounds, but definitely a little bit more of your standard defensive interior rather than a pure nose. He's up to 330. I love that the new weights have been added in. And number 55 for the Cincinnati Bengals went after Dylan Thieneman in round number 1. We're going after an edge here in round 2. And the question is, which one? Want to go after some good size. Gabe Akis right up there. Kenyatta Jackson. Really want to see him like flourish. But again, he is young. I understand that. They definitely want to go after someone who has a good build. And I do think they'll end up looking at Akis here and saying, this is a guy that we want to go after. I'm not fully on board with Akis myself, but I definitely think that the Bengals, with their physical archetype, are going to be looking for a player who could be an every down guy for them. At 56 for the Buccaneers, went for David Bailey in round number 1. Super excited about him just being consistently solid. I mean, we could end up taking a quick peek. Look at that. I mean, I know it hasn't registered week 2 yet. Once again, PFFY, but 35.7% pass rush win rate in week 1. Phenomenal. Just a really good player. Emeka Egbuka looks like a stud. I do think we might want to go after someone like Elijah Surratt at this point to be just a long-term version of Mike Evans. And that's exactly what he's going to continue being. That's some bullshit. Okay, yeah, they didn't load in week 2. He ended up having like multiple contested catch touchdowns. This dude historically is in that 60 to 70% range on contested catches. Reliable player. That usually goes round 3. I understand that as well. But I mean, I really do think that the Buccaneers don't have that many areas of improvement to where I think I'd be willing to take a reach here and go after a player who's just really reliable. So we're going to go after Elijah Surratt here out of Indiana. At number 57 for the San Francisco 49ers, went after Caleb Tiernan, one of my favorite players in the entire draft there in the first round. Here in round number 2, again, this is a team that drafts in the second or third round, usually third. Maybe the 4th as well, but one of these mid-round picks, they usually go after a wide receiver, a running back. Definitely something you can keep your eye out on if the value is right, which right now with Nick Singleton, Jonah Coleman, it feels like it. But, we are looking at a team that, Brock Purdy actually had a pretty good day today as well. Like, I'm not necessarily sure exactly where I want to invest on this team. Tight end for the long haul, certainly. I do want to continue investing in the wide receiver core with either drama or health concerns. This team definitely is in a consistent shuffle of guys. And someone who I really love seeing get his own, and he did a phenomenal job yesterday versus Michigan as well, as Deion Burks. As long as he's healthy, because ended up having a midseason injury last year, like, he is so damn good that I can't deny it. I'm going to go after Deion Burks here for the Niners, a dynamic threat who can play honestly on the boundary as well, even though he's 5'8", 5'9". This dude has 4.3 to 4.2 speed, and he is just going to be one of those dynamic weapons that can go across the middle, take a hit too, and stay on his feet. So one of those reliable fire weapons. And you can also use him as a running back too, which is, I like that flexibility. The Rams at number 58 have taken Isaiah World, Cade Klubnik. Good spot to be in. We're going to go after a corner. And that corner is one that I really, really like. One that needs to grab a bit less, but someone who I still think is a really good player. Davison Igbinosun out of The Ohio State University. 6'2", 193, now up to 195. Again, don't understand what's going on here. Ended up allowing 59 yards in week 1 versus Texas. Ended up having a much better week this past week. So good to see that. Granted, it was against, I believe, Grambling State. So not really much competition there. 59, Green Bay Packers. Ended up not taking somebody in the first because they got Micah. So once you get Micah on your team, Feel very happy about that. I'm going to be going after a corner here myself. The question is which one? And I'm looking very heavily at Damani Jackson, someone who I do really like how he's performed so far. Again, 1 target, 0 receptions allowed. Not necessarily indicative that he locked down someone so much that you can't target him. How's DJ Harvey doing? Oh, he got cooked. No, my king. Oh, that sucks. It's always a risk when you see someone go up in competition, and then if they struggle off the bat, that just hurts. That sucks. But anyways, Jerry Wilson, also a very solid corner. Not necessarily this good, but we're going to go Damani Jackson here, cornerback out of Alabama. I do think that corner room is unnecessarily weak. We need to strengthen it. At number 60 for the Kansas City Chiefs. In first round, we took Nick Harbor. Wow, I forgot about that. Wide receiver out of South Carolina. Damn, that's actually sick. We're going to just go after the running back position because why the hell not? And we're going to go after Nick Singleton here. I mean, you can go after Jonah Coleman. I don't really care. But Nick Singleton's going to be the guy who ends up being that power back who is a straight line of dude. Not necessarily the best yards per attempt on like a down by down basis, but multiple touchdowns as well. I don't understand why we can't get a stat that says yards per attempt, not including the touchdowns, like because of the fact that they like some of them have like the 50, 60 yard touchdowns. But, like for the most part, if you're talking about short yardage gains, like maybe under 5 yards, you can take out those touchdowns, right? The goal line touchdowns, because you're breaking through and you're only getting credit for 1 yard, right? And I do think that can screw it up a little bit. At number 61, though, regardless, we have the Los Angeles Chargers via Detroit. We did that trade back, and I'm going to go after the tight end here. And there's a lot of good ones. I really like Max Kitzelman. How's Gillenberg doing? Oh, that sucks. Damn, he dropped 1 pass. That's why he has a 40 grade. Breaks my heart. But, I mean, Traore as well, a player I really ooh, he got 77 yards and a touchdown. I'm curious to see how he did this past week. I can't remember off the top of my head. But honestly, Traore is such a baller. He's 235, though. I do want to get someone who's a little bit better built as a receiving weapon, but I need a good blocker. And you know what? A good blocker, that is Miles Kitzelman. I'm going to just stand on business right now. Not the best statistical guy in the world, but just so damn good. I mean, he is right now, where is he at on my board? Donde está Kitzelman? I don't know Spanish very well. He's number 33 on my board. Like, just one of the best blockers in the class. And then he's also someone who's a reliable receiver. If you want a value version of Miles Kitzelman, I highly advise you to watch SMU tight end Matt Hibner. Also really nice dude. Got to meet him in person, but Kitzelman is kind of the higher end version of it. So number 62 for the Baltimore Ravens. Wanted to get some deep speed, and we have Eric Singleton here. I don't think we should ignore it at this point. Like, end up taking Jamal McCoy round 1. We're going to go after a dynamic weapon there in Singleton here in round 2. Philadelphia Eagles sitting there at number 63 took Max Clare, tight end out of The Ohio State University, in the first round. Here at 63, we could try to go after an offensive tackle if we want to. Here's my thing. Tomas Remark, I just don't want to take the risk there. Hopefully we can end up developing a tackle enough. This is just not the class where I feel very comfortable with that outcome. Now, here at 63, other positions to target, I do think a boundary corner is on the board. It's just dependent on what you guys want to do at Coop, because Cooper ended up playing boundary in base set this past week. And we'll see if that continues, but it looks like that's going to be the vision for him. If I'm not mistaken, last year in his rookie year, he was supposed to be playing safety in base set, and now all of a sudden he's playing boundary corner. So maybe we end up seeing a focus on the nickel but that's kind of like what Mac McWilliams should be doing, and the Jacorian Bennett competing on the outside. So definitely area of concern, but I do think we need to refocus on defensive interior. I do like Zane Durant to replace Moro Ojomo. We'll see if that ends up being something that needs to happen. A lot of very good defensive interiors right now in college. I just don't know how many of them translate to the NFL. Brandon Cleveland, glad to see him take a big step up from week 1 where he didn't really do anything. But just someone who's a very good player, probably around 4 and beyond guy, even though I like him more. Zane Durant at this point you might want to take for the upside, and I think I will. Cole Brevard, got to give him a shout out, but it just depends if you're going to get rid of JD or Moro Ojomo. And we're going to go Zane Durant here. Penn State, lock it in, call it a day. Going after athletes here. Number 64 for the Buffalo Bills, Carnell Tate via that trade back. Or if you guys didn't like the trade back, keep it in round 1. I do not care. Um, I I gotta see a little bit more to in order to say that I'd really not trust Ray Davis for the long haul. I like Ray Davis, but defensive interior and linebacker are the areas where I want to target. And Whit Weeks is just such a monster. I love Kyle Lewis too. Kyle Lewis and Whit Weeks are like challenging to be my favorite dudes in history. Not really. But Kyle Lewis is my linebacker 1. 0% missed tackle rate over 2 weeks. I know it's versus bums. I get that. But that's sick. I'm so happy for him. That's awesome, man. That's great. Yeah, I mean, he's just a really good player. Kyle Lewis is going to be the guy for me. He might be a little bit undersized, but plays every damn position on the linebacker squad, and including in the nickel. Like, he's just so reliable. I don't know why. Is there a name like Kyle Lewis on the Bills? Because there's something that like looks so familiar and so right about seeing Kyle Lewis, Buffalo Bill. Let me know. Cleveland Browns at 65. Honestly, Sam Levitt's not a bad idea. Just pair him up with Lenore Sellers. That'd be crazy. But we've addressed offensive line. We've addressed quarterback. We've addressed edge. Good grouping there. I do think wide receiver arguably is a position we need to target right now. Like, it is kind of pressing. Jaden Greathouse, I want him to do more. It's a bit annoying where he's at. But I do think this is the right opportunity to go after CJ Daniels out of Miami if I have not already. We use Vinny Anthony. Okay, yeah, it's okay. Thank God. I was like, I kind of feel like a dick for having my boy CJ Daniels out there for so long. But I mean, looking at some other positions, corner/defensive back is one I do want to address. And I'm curious, do they have Preston Hodge in here? Of course not. PFF, come on, man. I mean, you guys have over 400 players in here. How do we not have one of the Pookie Bears of the entire industry here in Preston Hodge? I love him to death, man. One of the best players available. To me, I mean, I just want to be able to take it. Oh my God. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is also on a freaking tear. He did well versus Kentucky. He's been balling out too. This is definitely a name that I'm going to be tossing into this mock draft. Really big fan of his game. But we're going to use our former Pookie here in Jalen Catalon, safety out of Missouri, as the placeholder for Preston Hodge, defensive back out of Colorado. Really, really good player overall. Even with an injury, I would end up putting him down here in the 3rd round. Very good in the nickel, very good on the boundary, very good as a safety, just reliable everywhere. Just somebody who I have a lot of faith in. And I think that multifaceted versatility is something that I would be a huge fan of. Saints, 66. Nussmeier in Boston. Retooled that offense. Love that for y'all. We're going to go after an edge here. And Kenyatta Jackson definitely is the one that first sticks out to me as somebody who should be going in this range, who has that same size profile that the organization gravitates towards. We do need to see the consistency really improve. Big fan of Qua Russaw. How has he done so far? I know they only have one game. Damn, we got 0%. Oh, he had 4 pass rush snaps. I'm like, the hell? I love Qua. But Principal Umami Ellen would be a guy, if you were ignoring size, I'd want to consider here. Kenyatta Jackson is he's a unit, 6'6", 265. I feel like it's just right in line with the organization. At number 67 for the Houston Texans, Jeremiah Love, Anthony Hill, Lee Hunter. Just such good balance, man. Such good balance to these picks. Very big fan of it. Tight end at this point might not be a bad idea. Like, I know it's not like a primary feature, but it just feels good to go after it. But we do need to focus on the offensive line too. And Austin Barber is a good player. Xavier Chaplin, definitely somebody who needs some love here. Trevor Gooseby could stick in the state of Texas. I'd be happy with that. I wish Bryce Foster were playing a little bit better. If you want to go on the interior of the offensive line, Oleva Vega Ione is just an absolute road grader. Honestly, not a bad idea. They ended up showing that they like some good physicality and measurables this past year with taking in the 2nd round. Why am I forgetting his name? I literally took a picture with him, Ariante Urzuri. Like, I think Ione could actually be a really good bookend guard with that tackle squad. That would be a crazy duo. At number 68 for the Philadelphia Eagles, Ione would have been someone who I think I would have taken for him here at 68. But I mean, I do worry about that right guard spot. I know the right tackle spot is something that we need to focus on as well. So far, we've taken Zane Durant, Max Clare. I am feeling a little bit down about the players I've taken so far. If I'm just being completely honest, I'm not really a huge fan of the outcome. Caden Green would be fun. Again, Tomas Remock is someone who I feel very confident in. Again, I don't know why they haven't put in week 2 grades for the players who are literally they have it up there on the website. I don't get that. Rucci, don't trust him. Just hate to say it. I do not trust him. So it would pretty much be, if we're looking at offensive line, Remock, because he's playing right tackle right now, it seems like a seamless fit and one of the best guards. So very similar to what happened when you ended up taking the Bama tackle at the third. Why the hell am I forgetting? It's Tyler Steen. My goodness, it is 11 p.m. Drew Shelton might also be another really good option if you want to kick him to guard. Don't like how he ended up struggling that badly week 1 for me to try to give him that opportunity. But actually, I really like Xavier Chaplin. He is a finisher. He is a mauler. Very good left tackle, but somebody who I think can end up transitioning to the right tackle spot under the guidance of Stout. And you look at the size right here, 6'7", 350. I think he has 35 or 36-inch arms. Give him the Stout, see what happens. 39, Tennessee Titans. We're going to go wide receiver here for him because we went after defensive back as well as edge. Need to go after wide receiver. And you got Trey Wilson who's lurking there. Jaden Greathouse, I want to see a bit more from before I feel comfortable at this point. Malachi Fields, I really like. Deuce Robinson's taken off, but again, versus nobody here in, literally a team that SMU just played against this past week. So not going to really weigh too much on that. Again, Noah Thomas, want to see a bit more. I mean, it's good at least to see him get some targets and yards for once. Like, woo. But yeah, I mean, looking at the players who are available, I mean, shoot, it's Josh Cameron's the one who's coming to mind, and he was really fun to see in person. Someone who's an absolute mismatch nightmare, and he is a big dude. I mean, he looked all 224 that he brings to the table. At this point, it's the 3rd round. Really reliable receiver. Don't know why people don't like him that much. Well, I guess I was one of them that has him pretty low on my board. So I should ask myself that question. But Josh Cameron, just really reliable college receiver. Good after the catch. Good in terms of, like, even though he's had contested catch percentage of 2 out of 3, he's not a main contested catch guy. He's just somebody who's very smooth, will take advantage of weaker defensive backs, and you don't need him to be your number 1. To me, I don't understand why people don't like Calvin Ridley that much, but I think he's just a very solid receiver that's had a good bounce back and will have a good connection with Cam Ward. At 70 for the Carolina Panthers, taking Kenyon Sadiq and DJ McKinney. If you guys are sitting that high, I do think you need to look at a reliable quarterback to bring in for competition. And maybe it's not here in the 3rd round, but I do want you guys to start thinking about it. I don't think Mensa is going to be coming out, but Rocco is a good guy to go after at this point. Rocco's done a fantastic job so far. Like, he has a couple slip-ups here and there, but I do think he's doing a good job. Sawyer, I would do that on day 3, even though I think he did a solid job versus SMU. The start of the game was bad. Like, the first throw was just an absolute shank. So I will say, I think Josh Cameron was more of a reason for success than Sawyer. I'll say that. Saw with my own eyes. Carson Beck's a player who I'm thinking of for this team. Carson Beck is a very underrated quarterback. I mean, I don't, just because he has some bug eyes doesn't mean that he's necessarily a bad quarterback. Sam Levitt really struggled this past week. Kind of sucks to see that, but Nico sucks. Hate to say it. I mean, I know that there's not very much time for him to go through reads and such, but he's just not a very good quarterback. Was not a fan of him coming into this year. But I do think there needs to be a Carson Beck selection here or later. And if you guys are sitting there at number 6, remember we traded back to number 9, there has to be a reason for it. And with Bryce Young continuing to soak up those contract years, I do think there needs to be some legitimate competition in here. Carson Beck, it's a hot take, but we have another pick here at 73. I think it's worth the challenge. We're going to go Carson Beck to the Panthers. Number 71 for the Las Vegas Raiders, Pierre Woods, AJ Harris, really good combination. Again, this is a team that, like, I need to diagnose a little bit more as to why Ashton Genty's not having good yards per carry. Feel free to put your own thoughts in there as well. I'm going to look at the edge core right now. Just go full defense on this team. And Max Llewellyn's awesome. I do want to give some love here to Princewill Umami-Ellen, who ended up going up against Kentucky, and did a phenomenal job this past week. 6'5", 245, a dangerous weapon as an edge rusher. I really do think he's somebody that can end up being utilized by Pete Carroll very well. And, we're thinking about how he can end up being a little bit of what y'all had a year before, with, why am I forgetting? He's on the Patriots now. But regardless, really happy with the idea of Princewill Umami-Ellen being worth a day 2 pick. Now he's like just really taking it up a notch this past week. But, big fan of where you guys are at. Number 72, we have the Chicago Bears going TJ Parker and Damon Claiborne to start out the draft. Defensive back, definitely going to be on the radar. And I think I'm going to take a shot at this guy. Really happy with how he's played so far. Where the hell did he go? Is he actually the high? There we go. Emmanuel McNeil Warren. So first off, I mean, this dude plays everywhere. Just somebody who's been dominated Kentucky, and then dominated this past week as well. I mean, this dude is just getting a shit ton of production. And it's like, what the hell? Like, really crazy. Like, this guy's just been really dominant. So we're going to go after Emmanuel McNeil Warren and, just see where it goes from there. You could go Bud Clark. Bud Clark's fun. Bud Clark's really versatile too. Feel free to select which one you like, because honestly, the next team that I want to take a guy for, I'll probably do that for too. With the Panthers, honestly, feel free to go sub the other guy in. If you really wanted Bud Clark to the Bears, go for it. Either way, I'm going to go after Bud Clark here. I've seen him in person multiple years. He's a good player. I'm surprised he didn't come out. He's a day 2 player though. At 74 for the Jaguars, so far, Connor Lew, great steal. Very, very good player. I do think that they've shown a lot more potential now. Jonah Coleman's still available. I do think a team should try to move up for him. Very, very good player. Again, running back's just not overly desired at the moment, just because there's not many teams that are like thirsting for the running back position at the rate that maybe some people think they should. But, Jordan Lewis looks really good for the Jaguars. I'm so surprised that he's still playing that well. Showed some good recovery speed and made it was a very good rub design. Ended up making a really good rebound play. And I love seeing that. Really, really love seeing that. But looking at how my board stacks up, my next best defensive back is Jontez Williams at Iowa State. Does not fit what the Jaguars are really looking for. DJ Harvey right now looks like he's having a struggle with the transition to USC. I think that he is very similar to what Jalen Smith is, but I mean, maybe D'Angelo Velcro Pons could be a good option. I mean, week 1, dominated versus ODU. Got to see what he did this past week. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this is somebody that absolutely can continue to diversify this corner core that is just loving guys who are physical, even if they're not the best build. And I like that. I really do. I think that you need to go after players that continue enforcing a physical agenda. And number 75 for the Falcons went Parker Brailsford in round 1. I support that. Wide receiver is probably the position I want to go after here. Again, I have a lot of faith in Jaden Greathouse. I just need to see the numbers back that up before I feel that comfortable with him. Looking at the weapons that are at least listed here, damn, I really like Caleb Douglas. I'm not going to take him here, though. I don't think he's going to be remotely considered a day 2 guy. Noah Thomas is the name that I do want to throw in here. He is somebody who ended up grading out insanely well for me, has that deep threat ability, and feels, I just don't understand why he's chose Georgia. I feel like as teams continue to watch him, he's one of those players that could sneakily be that 3rd round pick. Everyone's like, really? Just a very good weapon. I mean, we could talk about tight end here as well, because, with the Kyle Pitts situation, we'll see if that ends up working out. Now we're talking about Justin Jolly, Traore as well. I actually like the idea of going Justin Jolly. Again, hoping to see him be a little bit better in terms of the actual production, but NC State's still finding its identity. CJ Bailey looks great. So I think I just want to see that connection grow a bit. Justin Jolly is going to be my selection there. At 263 with that speed that he has, I definitely think he's going to be an intriguing option to replace Pitts. Steelers, we got 2 picks in 4 spots. So far, we got John Mateer and Caden Proctor. I'm happy with that. Again, we could have went after someone like Sam Levitt here, but usually those quarterbacks don't work out. Jonah Coleman is very exciting, just not the team because we just ended up drafting our own version of him. Whit Weeks is a sneakily fun option for us to utilize on like a multitude of levels, including a potential like fringe roaming safety role. That's just me getting excited about a player who I really, really like, which I'll probably take with the next pick anyway. I mean, he's going to be going very, very soon. But areas that we need to improve, we do need a true wide receiver too. I love Calvin Austin. We do need to see a little bit more. Malachi Fields, I like him a lot. He ended up having a fumble on his first touch this year, but definitely a name I've been saying for the Steelers, who's very physical, a very good blocker. And you look at his build, 6'4", 222, complements DK Metcalf very well. And if we're going to have John Mateer on our squad, we need guys who can just body dudes and just create some spectacular catches, have very good catch radiuses as well, or radii, because Mateer's a little bit erratic. We're going to go after Malachi Fields here. For the New England Patriots, so far we've gone after Jordan Tyson and Cassius Howell. Honestly, this is becoming one of my favorite draft classes. We're going to go Whit Weeks out of LSU. Player who does not deserve to slip this far, but just did by chance. Seahawks, Mansour Delane, Joshua Josephs. Happy with that. We do want to still develop some speed in this receiving core. Again, that's kind of been like the name of the game. Noah Thomas is honestly someone who could develop that deep speed ability. I think he's a lot faster than what people give him credit for. Barry and Brown, underrated player. I don't know why Aaron Anderson is not in here, but I also don't think Aaron would really play well in the Seahawks. I want someone who could play a bit of boundary for them. If I were to ignore said position, I mean, shoot, quarterback, you could try to go and develop a guy, but that's what you're doing right now anyways. I feel like that's counterintuitive. Thank you again for you guys always checking me. I totally forgot about the extension there at right tackle to Abe. I do think interior offensive line is worth taking a shot at. And I'm going to go after a player who I really like, who maybe I should have taken to the Eagles earlier, in Charles Jagasaw, tackle/guard out of Notre Dame. Very, very good player. He's not playing right now. I don't know why, but he'll get his chance. I already know it. Notre Dame likes to rotate offensive linemen, but really good guard, flashed as a tackle in the championship game. Just a really good player. Steelers, we ended up taking Malachi Fields, Proctor, and Mateer. At this point, I mean, shoot, I still really want to go Jonah Coleman, but a dark horse could be R. Mason Thomas. I do think he's a very good player, but boundary corner definitely could be as well. Boundary corner and safety. So Dalen Everett, reliable player. Malik Muhammad definitely took a step up over the offseason. Good to see him do that. Like Jermaine Matthews, underrated player as well, who took a big step up, much more than I expected for him to do. But again, I would actually say that like Jontez might be an intriguing choice here. We'll see what the vision is for what Jalen's supposed to do, if he's supposed to go and transfer to safety. Ricardo Hallman, love him. Ricardo actually would be not too shabby for the Steelers. I mean, 5'10", 190 graduate, so he's going to not go in the third round, but another one of those players that maybe on day 3 you end up trying to clock in. But we got our wide receiver. We got our quarterback of the future. I do think that we still could try to upgrade on the offensive line. And Austin Barber at guard would be really fun. I mean, we already ended up going after Caden Proctor, but I do think of Austin Barber as a guard. That's me. I mean, I just think he's a guard. And that would be a really good guard to have. And he fits the athletic profile of what we kind of like look for. And also he's 33.5-inch arms. I think he'd be a good interior offensive lineman, and worst case scenario, also a swing tackle, because I don't trust Proctor. I can't do that to you guys, though. I already know someone's going to get pissed. And you're going to get pissed regardless, but unnecessarily. Damn, Tao, the fuck you doing? Come on, man. The hell you getting a 50 PFF grade for? Unbelievable. Terry Moore, I've heard some good things about, for sure. Very reliable defensive back. I want to get a defensive back for us Steelers. I mean, we just thrive on it. It's one of the weird spots, man. Whenever you just have way too many picks for one team, it starts just getting a little confusing. I think I will go after the cornerback route after all. And you know what? I've seen a lot of improvement from Malik Muhammad. I think that's a guy worth taking. So we're going to go after Malik Muhammad here at number 79. At number 80 for the Minnesota Vikings, This is honestly a team that could take Sam Levitt. I would just love that. So Zakee Wheatley, Avian Terrell, full redistribution of that or rebuild of that secondary. And let's get some beef. Daryl Jackson Jr., nose tackle out of Florida State here at number 80. Number 81, we have the Miami Dolphins, Keith Abney, Zachariah Branch. Honestly, Austin Barber is worth the shot here. If you play him at guard, you play him at tackle. Who gives a shit? You're getting a good offensive lineman that you can count on for a long while. And number 82 for the Arizona Cardinals, Lamu and Concepcion to start out is a good pairing. I do want to go after edge at this point, and Max Llewellyn is somebody who I'm going to take my shot on. So far, he's done an okay job. Again, 27.8% win rate's amazing, but pretty heavily weighted on that University of Albany game. We're going to go after Max Llewellyn here out of Iowa. At 83 for the Broncos went Christian Miller and CJ Daniels, not Vinny Anthony, because CJ Daniels is not in the database. But for the Broncos, we're going to go tight end here. Jack Andrews is an intriguing option. Definitely like him. But we actually might go for the Eli Stowers of it all right now. He is a very good tight end. Very reliable. I just think that this is a better range for him. Dolphins at 84. We went Abney, Branch, and Barber. We are actually going to go after tight end here as well. And looking at the options, Seju Traore is the guy who I'm going to go after. I love what this guy is as an absolute athlete. So we're going to go after Seju Traore. Before you complain, please go and watch him. You'll realize how fun he is. At 85 for the Chargers, I think some interior offensive line play would be fun. And I just think Jennings Dunker, even though I have no faith in him personally, like that's just me. I don't have faith in him as an offensive lineman. I think he'll end up being good. I don't know why. If he goes to the Chargers, I have a lot of faith in him. So we're going to have him play center for y'all. We'll see what happens there, but a lot of strength. And if that ends up working out, I'm super happy for y'all. 86 for the Commanders went Chris Bell in round number 1. Very good addition, in my opinion. Here in round number 2, we need to go after edge. And so many good ones. But I love Armanis St. Thomas. Like, just a very explosive, high-ceiling edge rusher. I do have Samuel Ukunlola on my board, but I do think that R. Mason Thomas, not too far behind and worth the shot. At 87 for the Bengals, I'm running this to the podium. Sorry to our king from Texas Tech from past year. We are going to be going after a new king from Washington, Jonah Coleman. And pairing him, I mean, that'd just be such a good combination. I would love that. Like, just I would just love seeing Chase Brown pair up with Jonah Coleman. Like, that's just me. Like, Taj Brooks, love him, but Jonah Coleman, I think, would just be better. 88, Buccaneers, Bailey Surratt. Good dynamic duo. We're also going to the tight end route here. And honestly, Endries would make a lot of sense. Like, I do want to see maybe if we can find a better fit for Endries, but honestly, he's done a good job this year. He's shown some vertical ability as well. Kind of has a very similar profile to Cade. So we're going to go Jack Endries here at 88. 89 for the Niners. Tiernan and Burks went in the past 2 rounds. I do think we should still try to prioritize on some firepower here. Always good to continue retooling your secondary. And I want to get somebody who has some boundary corner ability. And looking at the guys available, again, it is a little bit rough. And the guys who I have worth this grade, not necessarily available unless Jontez Williams, but I don't think Jontez fits the profile of what you guys are looking for. Well, Dalen Everett's not bad at all. This dude's reliable. I'm going to trust him. Ended up coming in week 2. We're going to go after Dalen Everett here, best player available out of Georgia. 90, Los Angeles Rams. Isaiah World, Kate Klubnik, Davison Igbinosun. Very good room. Very good room of players. I do think we can continue upgrading the wide receiver core if we want to. Corner could try to double up there, but again, kind of been taking the guys who I think would be a little bit more up our alley. Defensive line, I feel very comfortable. This is where we could talk about a linebacker. And Deontay Lawson was down to 218. Not a fan. Harold Perkins is such a baller, but I just need to send him to the right place. One of those is actually technically the Buccaneers, but I'm holding off. I'm holding off for the time being. Some very good linebackers in the country right now that I'm not going to be able to give enough love for today, but I'm just going to say good players nonetheless. I'm going to go after an absolute road grader here in CJ Allen. This dude is an absolute monster at 235. Big hitter, very reliable. we're going to go after him at 90. 91 for the Green Bay Packers went Domani Jackson in the second round. Again, good spot to try to, just continue developing and just growing your overall team. Like, I do think corner was a smart move because I feel like that would have been a big spot. Defensive interior is a great spot right now. And Tim Keenan's missing part of the year with an injury. He'll come back. But this is a guy who's perfect to replace Kenny Clark, in my opinion. Just a plug. Worth taking. 92, Kansas City Chiefs, Nick Harbor, Nick Singleton. Is there a Nick available? I mean, we should look that up. NIC. Nick Anderson. No, that doesn't make very much sense. Okay. No Nick available. But so far, we went wide receiver and a running back. We need to focus on the defensive side. Let's get some extra edge talent in here. Tyree Sapp, a little bit concerning to me. Zion Young, definitely somebody who has some good potential there, but I do think I'm going to have to dip into a placeholder here because looking at the players available, I am not seeing him. And that is Samuel Okunlola out of Colorado. Not necessarily your prototypical edge for Spags, but definitely somebody who I think will bring a lot of juice to the table that you don't have. So we're going to use this Kelly kid as a placeholder. Really good player, Samuel Okunlola out of Colorado. 93, Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, honestly, if you want to, you could try to get a backup quarterback. I just don't think that's a good move. Running back wise, I do think that there is like a notable drop off to where you are really starting to reach at this point. It's a bad running back class. That's just a hot take. I just don't think it's good. I honestly would look at more offensive linemen because I just think the value is really good. And one of these players that I really like is Josh Braun. I mean, to be fair, I would say that, you ended up doing this in the third last year. I'll probably hold off on that. Tight end, though. Tight end is still good. And John Michael Gyllenberg, I almost said Jake Gyllenhaal. Really, really good player. I mean, honestly, he might be my next best tight end. Very good receiving weapon. Trigg is very good after the catch. Honestly, a little bit closer. Well, Gyllenberg actually reminds me a little bit of what we saw from Parkinson over at Stanford. What's funny is that I went to school with Colby, so I don't know how the hell I got his name wrong, but John Michael Gyllenberg going at 93. 94, Baltimore Ravens went Jermon McCoy, Eric Singleton Jr. I think now we can end up talking about some linebacker talent. A lot of people like Terrain York. I'm going to go after Harold Perkins here for the pass rushing upside. Got to go BPA. Eagles at 95. Ended up Claire, Durant, Chaplin. We have 2 picks in the next couple picks as well. We could try to go Sam Levitt at this point just because the value is impeccable. But let's look at the defensive backs. I think Kamari Ramsey is just too good to pass on. Very reliable defensive back there out of USC. Again, don't look at the stats. It's heavily skewed for a week 1 where you're still figuring things out. We're going to go after Kamari Ramsey and just have him for that depth. And you can end up talking about that Reed. Some like balance there for Reed for the long haul. I know he plays some slot, but I also want him to have that flexibility for the boundary. And we did talk about some concern for the slot. So I do like how that ended up playing out. And 96 for the Bills, Tate and Lewis. Good duo, man. Very underrated. We're going to go defensive interior here, and we're going to go after someone who is not listed on here, and he's going to be a placeholder. It is going to be Cole Brever, defensive interior out of Texas. So we're going to go because Ball. Why not? We Ball. Cameron Ball is going to be the placeholder for Cole Brever, defensive interior out of Texas. Literally like Devondre Sweat. Love him to death. Number 97 for the Minnesota Vikings. So far, we've gone Avian Terrell, Zucky Wheatley, and Darrell Jackson Jr. I think this is a prime opportunity to trade out for a team that wants to try to take a swing at Sam Levitt. And one of those teams I think could be the Cleveland Browns. I don't think that's going to be what they do. I do think the New York Giants could get a little bit ballsy here and say, hey, we're going to go after someone who we really do want to see and we actually believe in. We're going to send 142 as part of this, and we're going to get 170 in return. I think this is a good balanced trade that ends up balancing it for both Minnesota as well as New York, because Minnesota gets to move up. New York gets to move up to here. And again, you can talk about Sawyer Robertson as an option, but Sam Levitt does have the gamer mentality. I know that he struggles, not a guy who I have a ton of faith in, but you can end up tossing in your quarterback of choice here. Sam Levitt has a little bit more juice in the tank. At number 98 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, John Mateer, Caden Proctor, Malachi Fields, and Malik Muhammad. Very good group of players. At this point, you can kind of choose whatever you want. And you know, it is a weird spot because I just don't think there's very many players that I would try to take. I do want to trade up with a team for Trevor Gooseby, though. I like the development he's made. And honestly, the Eagles wouldn't be a bad choice to try to double down. But I do want to see a team try to go and take a swing at another tackle. So Panthers at this point could try to develop one. I actually think that's not a bad idea, but I'm going to try to make a move up with the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs can get ballsy here. They're going to trade 167 as part of a trade up of 10 spots, and they'll end up getting 211 in return. So the Chiefs have moved up. They've taken some really solid players so far. Again, Kelly is a placeholder. We're going to be going Trevor Gooseby. So at number 99 for the Eagles, I will be taking an edge rusher here, and it's Malachi Lawrence, my king at number 5 player in the class. This is just a realistic range for him to go. Because I hate Suntrain Perkins, I'm going to go Bubakar Traore as the placeholder, but Malachi Lawrence, edge rusher out of UCF for the Eagles. And at 100 for the Jaguars, comfortable place to be in. We've already taken John Michael Gillenberg, D'Angelo Pons, and Connor Liu. I do think that Chandler Rivers is the obvious option for me. If I did not, I just totally forgot I took D'Angelo Pons. I'm like, I saw Chandler Rivers. I hate to say it. I think we need to make one last trade. We do. Chandler Rivers is king. Just really good value at this point that I don't really want to miss out on if I'm any of these teams. And I think Carolina Panthers continuing to spend more and more capital is just a smart idea. Just continue getting secondary pieces. We're going to give 145 and we're going to give 184 and get back 239. I think that's fair. So Carolina Panthers have moved up, and they will end up taking Chandler Rivers, defensive back out of Duke, as their last player. So that's going to be the video. We did it. Thank you again for watching, showing the love you always do. See you later. Peace.